Good Sunday morning, Facebook and YouTube. How you doing? You know what time it is? It is time to do what? We gonna preview the NFL Week 4. Giving you a preview before the noon kickoffs get underway. Again, I am Kendrick Tha Sports Guy. Hope you are having a great Sunday. Hope you're having a great weekend. Now let's get the Club Kendrick rules out the way. Make sure you come in. Make sure you like this live stream, this broadcast. Make sure you share this to your social media platforms. And last but certainly not least, make sure you subscribe to the channel. That is TFG Sports Media here on YouTube. Make sure you follow me as well on Facebook. Make sure you subscribe to Kendrick Sports Hustle on YouTube as well. That is SporTZ HUSTLE. Follow it on Facebook. You can follow me personally on Facebook, Kendrick Roline Henderson. You can also follow me on TikTok at Kendrick1969. I'm sorry, Kendrick Henderson 51 on TikTok. And on Instagram, Kendrick1969. I am live right now on TikTok. I want to thank those that are popping in. Manny, I see you. Willie Savannah, thank you for popping in. Juice has joined. Thanks for popping in. Dr. Cliff Furby. Doctor, appreciate that. Make sure you like this over here. Make sure you like it. Tap that screen. Share this live on TikTok. Again, this is the preview show. We're going to talk about Week 4. We got games about to kick off here at 12 noon. Going to talk about a couple of those games, some that I'm going to be interested in watching, and I'm sure some that you are going to be interested in watching as well. For my fantasy players, I know you probably already got your roster set. There's a couple of injuries I got to talk about that's not going to be playing today as well. And we're going to talk about the Cowboys from this past Thursday. They got two big injuries that they're not going to have for their next game coming up on Sunday night, October the 6th, when they go to Pittsburgh. But again, make sure you come in, like, subscribe. Make sure you comment. Let me know where you're watching from as well. And if you would like to donate to this channel to help me continue to build this sports platform, there is a little thank you icon or a little $sign icon on YouTube. If you're watching me there, you can donate anything your heart's desire will be greatly appreciated, but you're not obligated at all. I just want to give you that out there. But also, if you haven't subscribed, just click that subscription button. That's free of charge. It'll cost you nothing to subscribe. Just hit that subscribe button and share this to all your social media platforms. So let's go ahead and jump right into this thing. We got NFL Week 4 upon us. Again, we got noon kickoffs about to go down here in about an hour and a half. We got some pretty big games today. Got quite a few more in the noon window than we do have in the late window. Obviously, the late window game that a lot of people are going to be interested in watching is going to be the Chiefs at the Chargers. Got a AFC West showdown that is going down at 3:25. Also got the Browns at the Raiders in that 3:25 window. And then the Sunday night game, we got an AFC East showdown. No, I'm sorry, it's not an AFC East, but it's a showdown between the Bills at the Ravens, who are they coming off that big win versus the Cowboys this past Sunday. But in our noon window, let's talk about some of the games that we got going on kicking off at noon. We got I know we have the Texans and the Jaguars. That's an AFC South showdown. The Texans are trying to recover from that loss they lost to the Vikings last week. We got that. That's going to be a big AFC South showdown. And the thing is, the Jaguars are 0-3. They won three teams that are 0-3. They still looking for that first win. So the Texans, they smarting from that loss at the Vikings. So that's going to be an interesting matchup. I would say this. I think C.J. Stroud is not going to have as bad a game as he had versus the Vikings. I think he's going to play a lot better. But I think these Jaguars aren't going to be an easy out for these Texans. I think Doug Peterson, I was reading a couple of days ago that he's not happy with his quarterback play, Trevor Lawrence. So they've paid him that big money. So you got to rock with him. So Doug Peterson said we definitely have to have better quarterback play. They don't really have many weapons on the offensive side of the ball as far as the Jaguars. So I don't know what they can do to kind of get that offense rolling, but it definitely starts with the quarterback. So they looking to get their first win of the season. And it's probably not going to be easy versus the Texans. But I predict the upset. but I'm gonna say that we're gonna talk about my predictions because that's one of my games in my Kendrick's pick six, the 6 games that I picked. Now, the big NFC North showdown. We got the Vikings at the Packers. We got a homecoming of sorts for running back Aaron Jones, who was basically the Packers kind of said, we done with you. Yeah, and I like Aaron Jones. And so probably got a little bit of revenge that he wants to put on his former team, the Packers. So that's a big NFC North showdown. And then check this out. Malik Willis. Malik, what you talking about, Willis, who has played well in the absence of quarterback Jordan Love? Well, it's being reported that Jordan Love will be available today and he will start versus the Vikings. That is a report that I got off of ESPN. Now, he's coming off that sprained MCL. He's been out the last 3 weeks. So is this a rush back? Should they rush him back? I think with this being a big NFC North showdown, I think this is probably the right game. If he's good to go, this is the game that you need to have him play because right now the Vikings are one of the 3-0 teams in the league, and they sit atop that NFC North. So if you're gonna bring him back, definitely bring him back against the Vikings because we need all hands on deck. Now, I was reading where they said Love is like 80 to 90%. He moved around really well during practice this week. So he said his flexibility seems to be back in that left knee. I believe it's the left knee. So again, we just got to have that offensive line. I'm saying we. You know I'm a Packers fan, so I gotta put my 2 cents in there. Offensive line just gonna have to protect him a whole lot better. He definitely got to make sure he keeps a clean pocket. But the Vikings got a hell of a defensive rush too. So that's gonna be my game that I'm definitely gonna be watching. Again, that's a noon kickoff. The Vikings at the Packers. Again, he got a homecoming of sorts, a revenge tour for Aaron Jones. Will he run the football? He ran the football pretty decent last week versus the Texans. And the Packers' run defense has kind of been a little suspect. But so look for the Vikings to probably try to establish the run. And Sam Darnold. He's been a surprise Vikings quarterback. You know, J.J. McCarthy, they drafted him number 10, the rookie quarterback. He got injured in training camp. He's lost for the season with a knee injury. So they had Sam Darnold, and he's been playing some really good football. Considering his career with the few years he was with the Jets, it was a roller coaster ride with him. Then he had that 1 year in Carolina. Didn't do much. Then I think he spent 1 year as a backup in San Francisco. And so now the Vikings signed him, and he's played well these first 3 weeks. Again, the Vikings are 3-0. Probably one of the teams that I'm surprised that's 3-0. And he had a injured knee too as well. He banged his knee or something last week, but he's good to go. As far as reports, he's going to go. So the Vikings and the Packers, again, that's the big NFC North showdown. And I'm definitely going to be watching that. What's going on, CC? Good Sunday morning to you. She said, hey, Kenny, happy football Sunday. Thank you, love. Happy football Sunday to you as well. As always, thank you for popping in and checking me out. So, again, that's the Vikings at the Packers. That's going down at Lambeau Field, and that's a noon kickoff. Some of the other games at noon, again, I already mentioned the Texans and the Jaguars. That's going to be one game that I'm definitely going to keep my eye on because, you know, everybody got high hopes. Everybody got big aspirations for those Texans here. And I'm in Texas, if you don't know. I'm in Tyler, Texas, which is basically 3.5 hours north of Houston. And I'm an hour and 45 minutes east of Dallas. So, yeah, everybody got high hopes for these Texans. And so we're going to see what happens with that game. I think that's going to be a tough one for them. And we're going to talk about my pick in that game coming up here in a second. So what other noon games? The Buccaneers, the Eagles at the Buccaneers. That's a rematch of a playoff matchup, I believe, last year, if I'm not mistaken, or the year before. But the Eagles going to be down. They're going to be down to their top wide receivers. Both A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith will not play. They are not playing on today at the Buccaneers. Devontae Smith has a concussion, so he still hadn't passed concussion protocol. And A.J. Brown has a hamstring injury. So he is going to be out. So that's going to mean Jalen Hurts is going to have to lean on Saquon Barkley and Dallas Goedert a little bit more when it comes to his offensive firepower. So that's going to be a big miss for them, for the Eagles down there in Florida. Speaking of Florida, hopefully a lot of people suffer from that hurricane Helene. So hopefully everybody's okay. Grown women say, yeah, that sucks, but we got to step up. Okay, you're a Philly fan. Okay, CC. Yeah, that's gonna be tough for them offensively. I think defensively, the Eagles just gonna have to step it up, create some turnover opportunities for the offense and give them good field position. As far as the Buccaneers, they're coming off a loss as well. I think offensively, Mike Evans definitely is going to have to be big, play big in this game. As a Baker Mayfield is going to have to do what he does. The Buccaneers really just doesn't have an identity. They kind of like when I think of the teams, the Buccaneers, Baker Mayfield and Mike Evans, and then who else after that? You really don't know. But Baker Mayfield has came to Tampa Bay and he's played well too. He's resurrected his career. And just speaking of resurrections, just like I was just speaking about Sam Darnold with the Vikings, Baker Mayfield was kicked out the door in Cleveland, and he came to Tampa Bay, and man, he's played his best football in Tampa Bay. So that's going to be a good one to watch. Again, that is a noon kickoff, CC, and I'm sure you're going to have your eyes on that. CC says, Kenny, Philly born and raised. All righty, then. I know that's right. Yeah. Philadelphia. Speaking of Philly, everybody's still mourning the loss of the great Frankie Beverly. You know what's funny? I did not know he was from Philly until his death. I did not know that. I didn't went off on a side note, but I just had to mention that because Philadelphia has been the home of a lot of great music stars. The Philly sound, as they call it. Definitely, still, people still mourning the loss of Frankie Beverly. I think that's going to be here to the end of. We're going to be talking about Frankie Beverly, and we're going to be playing his music for decades and decades to come. So, again, the Eagles are at the Buccaneers in a big NFC showdown as well. What other game we got coming up at noon that's gonna be pique your interest? The Steelers at the Colts. I think that's going to be a good one to watch because, hey, we're talking about another 3-0 team, the Steelers. Who would have thunk it? Another 3-0 team with Justin Fields at quarterback. Who would have thought? Everybody has been trying to kick Mike Tomlin out the door in Pittsburgh. And so he just finds a way to have his team ready. They had never missed the playoffs under Mike Tomlin. I think he's been there, 16, 17 seasons now. Never missed the playoffs. And somehow he gets this team ready, even though I think offensively they challenged a little bit offensively. But defensively, they always going to be ready to play, especially with that Watt brother over there, TJ Watt. So they always going to be able to do something. CC says, yeah, we attended the same high school. He graduated before me. He's spreading happy feelings now. I know that's right, CC. He definitely is. He definitely will be missed. One of the greats, the Frankie Beverly. But the Steelers at the Colts, again, Anthony Richardson, quarterback for the Colts. He's shown flashes. Is he going to be that guy for Indianapolis? I don't know. Will he? Is he that dude? He has a rocket of an arm, but he's also not as accurate as he should be. But I think that you just give him some time. Last year, he didn't play at all. He played, I think, the first 2 games. Then he was out for the season for an injury. So this is really his first full season that he's going to be able to get his feet wet, so to speak. As far as the Steelers, I think Justin Fields is going to be the guy they go with the rest of the year. I think Russell Wilson, when they signed him, I think it was for an insurance policy anyway. Obviously, he was going to be the starter, probably to start out. But I think at this point, you just got to rock with Justin Fields and let Russell Wilson be your emergency quarterback. I think he's still dealing with some sort of calf injury. So Russell is not the guy he was in Seattle. I still think he's a solid quarterback, but I don't know if he's that guy that can get you to a Super Bowl anymore. And that's why the Broncos kicked him out the door, even though I didn't like the way he was done, Sean Payton. But Sean Payton is, speaking of the Broncos, Sean Payton got his guy in there, Bo Nix, young fella, and he's going to have some growing pains anyway. So the Broncos, they got their own problems again at the quarterback position. I think Bo Nix would be a solid quarterback, but again, I don't think he's that guy that's going to that can lead you to a Super Bowl. I think he'll be a good solid quarterback, but I don't see him being that franchise guy that makes a difference. So then we got the Saints at the Falcons. That's another good one. That's an NFC South showdown as well. Saints Alvin Kamara, he's a little bit banged up, foot and I think ribs or something like that. After their comeback win over the who did the Saints come back and beat? I forgot who it was last week, but they are going to be a big NFC East, NFC South showdown versus the Falcons. Falcons, how are they looking? I think Kirk Cousins, again, another insurance policy. They waiting. They want Michael Penix Jr., their quarterback of the future, to sit on the bench a little bit, learn and watch and be groomed. And I think that's a good way to go. But I know the NFL now, you pay these quarterbacks big money. Eventually, around that fourth year, you're going to have to decide, are you going to extend them and give them a contract, or are you going to let them walk? Obviously, you know, when you draft a quarterback, you can get them at a cheaper rate for the first 4 years, but eventually you're going to have to pay them. I think the Falcons are going to be okay. They did Russell wrong, in my opinion. That's what CC. Yeah, I agree too. I didn't like the way they handled that, but that's the business, and I'm sure football players know it's a business, and you just have to take it. You know, you take it for what it's worth. You know, and that's part of the business. But back to the Falcons and the Saints. You know, everybody was on this Saints bandwagon with them scoring 91 points in the first two games and crowning them the team to beat, and they're going to do this and they're going to do that. I always say, man, it's a long season, man. We just getting into October. A lot of these teams are 3-0 again. We'll talk about that here in a second. You just got a long way to go. I always say, let me see what they look like when we get to week 8, around the end of October, middle to end of October. Let me see what these teams look like then, and then I can kind of give my assessment on who I think is a contender and who I think are pretenders, in my opinion. So we're going to do that when we get around week 8. Right now, you got a couple of teams that's playing pretty good. You can't. The Vikings are playing some good football. The Saints have been playing some good football too. I ain't trying to rain on a parade, but again, I knew they weren't going to keep that scoring spree up. I knew they weren't going to do that. What's up, my good brother Cedric on TikTok? You can check me out on YouTube too, brother. He says everyone can't make it to the Super Bowl. You got to build around the high-paid quarterbacks. You got to. You're right, because you invest the money in them. Obviously, you invest all that money, you do have to build around them, put the right pieces around them as well. I definitely agree with that. That's why I look at the Falcons with Michael Penix Jr. They got a run game with the young fella out of Texas, running back, Robinson. They got a tight end that could be a good tight end, Kyle Pitts. But he hasn't lived up to his potential just yet. But then you got to build that offensive line. I think a lot of times we don't look at the offensive line as being an important piece, but it's definitely the important piece to make that offensive go. You gotta have a above average offensive line that can pass protect, because the NFL is a passing league. So if you invest in all this money in your quarterback, you got to make sure you got a left tackle that can protect his blind side, and you got to make sure you got a center as well that can call out protections and can get everybody in place. So a lot of times we overlook the offensive line, but you got to have that in place too. And you got to be able to run the ball a little bit. You ain't got to be great at it. You got to be able to run the football just a little bit, in my opinion. So again, we got some great games coming up. Again, this is week 4. The Sunday night game is a good one. We got the Bills at the Ravens. The Bills have been playing some good football too. Will they continue to light it up? We'll see what they'll be able to do with that. And then we got 2 Monday night games again. The Titans at the Dolphins, and then we got the Seahawks at the Lions. Those are the 2 Monday night games. Let's talk about the Cowboys real quick. Thursday night, they got the win 20-15. It wasn't pretty, but they got the W. But the biggest issue now with the Cowboys is the injuries, man. They are going to be without linebacker Michael Parsons and defensive end DeMarcus Lawrence for a minute. DeMarcus Lawrence, he has a bruised, I believe, right midfoot. He's going to be out for a month. So they're going to be missing 2 of their top pass rushers, where they both their top pass rushers. And Michael Parsons has a high left ankle sprain, and we all know about those ankle sprains. It takes time, especially those high ankle sprains, to get well. They're saying that he's going to be out at least 7 to 10 days, and then they're going to reevaluate that. So Michael Parsons is going to miss this Pittsburgh's game. DeMarcus Lawrence is going to be out. The Cowboys got a treacherous schedule coming up. Again, they are for 10 days, but they're at the Steelers come October 6th, and that's a Sunday night game. Then I think they got the Lions after that. Then they got the bye. Then I think they got the Niners. I think they got the Falcons in there as well. And then they got the Texans. They got a pretty tough October, early November schedule. And I was saying this in another segment, man. I would be surprised if they go 2-4 during this time. I think they may win 2 of those games. Again, they missing 2 of their top pass rushers, and so that's going to be tough. So I'm sure they scouring the free agent wire to sign someone. CC says I'm picking the Ravens. She's picking the Ravens over the Bills. I think I'm gonna go with the Bills on that one. CC Cedric says rough game. Yeah, it was a rough game, man. But that's injuries. You know, everybody has them. Speaking, hell, the San Francisco 49ers, God dang it, they can't keep people healthy. I did see where I think Deebo Samuel he'll be available today. But, Christian McCaffrey looks like he's going to be out again until November. I think their left tackle, Trent Williams, may not play today. The 49ers have been hit with a bunch of injuries as well. So that's part of the game. And as they say, next man up. That's what they always say. So, again, those are some of the injuries for the Cowboys. But, again, they got the win 20-15. They all can't be pretty. It definitely is better to be 2-2 than be 1-3. I say that. So they got the win, and they just got the Giants number. They've played well against them. I think they like 14-1 over the Giants in the last 4 or 5 years. So they play well with that. Speaking of other injuries, the Raiders will be without wide receiver Devontae Adams. He's out as well with I believe a hamstring injury as well. So for all those fantasy league players, if you hadn't read the injury wire, I'm sure your rosters are set by now. But those are a couple of guys, and I already mentioned the Eagles are going to be without wide receivers A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith versus the Bucs today as well. So we're going to get to my pick six. I do what I call Kendrick's NFL's pick six, where I pick 6 games and I give my who's going to win and the score. Last week, I got to look at my tablet. Last week, my record was horrible. I was 1-5 last week in my picks, in my pick 6. Hopefully, I can get back on track this week in week 4. Week 2, I was 3-3, and then the first week 1, I was 5-1. So right now, what am I? I'm 9-9. I'm 500 in my picks right now. So that's why I'm not a betting man. But my NFL week 4 picks, I'm going to give it to you right now, straight with no chaser. So here are the 6 games I chose. Saints at the Falcons, Vikings at the Packers, Jaguars at the Texans, Steelers at the Colts, Chiefs at the Chargers, and the Bills at the Ravens. Those are the 6 games I picked. If you watch it, I'd like to know I want you to give me your pick 6 out of those 6 games. Again, it's the Saints at the Falcons, the Vikings at the Packers, the Jaguars at the Texans, the Steelers at the Colts, the Chiefs at the Chargers, and the Bills at the Ravens. So, Saints at the Falcons, I'm going with them Dirty Birds out of Atlanta. I'm picking the Falcons to get the W over the Saints 23-17. Vikings at the Packers. And if you don't know, now you know. It's always a great day to be what? A Packers fan. Vikings at the Packers, big NFC North showdown. You know I'm going with my Packers. We got Jordan Love back. If you hadn't heard, quarterback Jordan Love will start today. I'm going with the Packers. It's going to be a tough one, 26-20 at Lambeau. Jaguars at the Texans, AFC South showdown. The 0-3 Jaguars against the Texans. Texans coming off that loss to the Vikings last week. Jaguars ain't got to win. This is my upset pick of this Sunday. I am going with the Jaguars 20-17 over the Texans. Steelers at the Colts. They're going to find a way to sneak this one out. I think Mike Tomlin has this Steeler team believing in themselves. I think the Steelers will beat the Colts 17-13. The Chiefs at the Chargers, which is a 325 game. That's going to be a big one. Another AFC West showdown. Chiefs at the Chargers. The Chiefs have won a bunch of close games, and they still undefeated. So a lot of times what they say is better to be good. It's better to be lucky than good. And when you're a good team, you find a way to win games when you're not supposed to. I'm going with the Chiefs 30-20 over the Chargers. And, oh, by the way, Justin Herbert will play. There was thoughts about him. He has some sort of toe injury, but he's gonna play. I got the Chiefs 30-20. And the Bills at the Ravens. I think that's the Sunday night game. I'm going with the Bills. I think they're going to stay undefeated. I think it's going to be a tough one. I'm going with the Bills 24-20. Cedric says everyone gets a turn. So those are my pick six games for this Sunday. Hopefully I do better than 1-5 than I did last week. So we're going to see what happens again in these upcoming Sunday games. Kickoffs for the noon games are in about less than about an hour from now. All right, we're going to get down to my last segment. I want to thank everybody for watching. My good brother Cedric, I want to thank you for popping in. CC always over here on YouTube. Those on TikTok, I see you. Larry Nix, Eugene Evans, Derek Williams, TJ, Rebecca Edwards. I want to thank you all for popping in. We're getting down to my last segment. Again, I already made my pick six. If you would like to make your pick six, put them in the comment section. Again, those games, Saints at Falcons, Vikings at Packers, Jaguars at Texans, Steelers at Colts, Chiefs at Chargers, Bills at Ravens. I'd like to know who you got in those games. Put those in the comment section if you so kindly would. Now, down to my freestyle moment. This is where I just kind of talk about something off the top of my dome. This one kind of really ain't top of my dome because it's tied in to college football. There was a bunch of great games on yesterday. But I want to talk about that young fella that out at Colorado, man, Travis Hunter. There was some comment. Richard Sherman was asked about, and I saw this clip, I believe, on X. Richard Sherman was asked about what he thought of Travis Hunter playing both positions. Which one would he play? Which one he thinks he's the best at? And will he be able to play both at the next level? And some people gave Richard Sherman flack about it, but I didn't see nothing wrong with it. He wasn't hating on the young fella. He just said he thought as a receiver that he's just kind of bland. He's just kind of regular. That's what he said. And I was getting what he was saying because I believe that as a cornerback, I think Travis Hunter has all the tools. I just think he's going to be that good at that position. And I think he's going to be probably a $30, $31 million guy eventually at the next level. But I'm going to walk back some comments I made on him as a receiver. After watching him versus UCF yesterday, I think this young fella is a pretty damn good receiver. Now, I hadn't really paid attention to his route running. That's a big thing at playing that position. But I think as a receiver, as a game breaker, I think he's pretty damn good. And I say this too. I think he should be the front runner for the Heisman right now. In my opinion, I think he's the best college football player in the land, bar none. I think right now, barring any injury or anything, I think this young fella should win the Heisman. And he would be the first offensive or quarterback or running back to win it. The second one in the history, obviously, Charles Woodson won it as a defensive back in 97, 98. So outside of Charles Woodson, no defensive player had ever won it. So he was the first. But I think this young fella, I think he should win the Heisman. You can bank that. You can come back and pull this up if you want to. and say, you heard it first, when Kendrick the Sports Guy, Travis Hunter should win the Heisman. Again, barring any injuries, I think the production that he's doing on both sides of the ball, some of the game-changing plays he's made thus far, I think right now, bar none, he's the best college football player in the land. So, again, that's my freestyle moment. Again, I want to thank everybody for popping in. Cedric, CC, I want to thank you for watching. Make sure you like, share this to all your social media platforms. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, make sure you subscribe to TFG Sports Media here on YouTube, as well as Kendrick Sports Hustle. That's SporTZ HUSTLE. Make sure you like and follow them both on Facebook. Make sure you follow me on Instagram at KDrick1969 and follow me on TikTok at Kendrick Henderson51. I want to thank everybody over here, Lester Davis, Patriotic Lefty, and Rebecca for joining. Make sure you keep it locked here. You subscribe to the channel. Every Sunday morning, you can catch me here at 10:30 a.m. here on TikTok as well as on Facebook and YouTube. We're giving you your NFL preview show, so we're going to see about that. Cedric says, I have not heard about him in the Heisman talks. Why isn't he the front runner? That's what I'm saying, Cedric. He should be. No, but they talking about all about these quarterbacks. That's my opinion too. He should be, but you're not hearing it. At least I'm not hearing it from the national level. CC says, I'm going with the Steelers. You're going with the Steelers over the Colts. All right, CC. Appreciate that. So I'm with you, Cedric. So we'll see. I'm going to see if that talk, if it heats up this week. I'm going to be paying attention to some of the college football people, and I'm going to see if that talk about Heisman heats up. And, oh, by the way, Colorado is what? 4-1 now, I believe. Yeah, they're 4-1. They're 2-0 in the Big 12. So we're going to see, because, there's a lot of Colorado ain't played nobody, they this and that, but right now they 4-1. They're not even ranked in the top 25. So we're going to see if that talk heat up again. So, again, I am Kendrick the Sports Guy again. Happy NFL Sunday. Kicks off. We got noon games about to kick off. Make sure you keep it locked here. Subscribe to the channel. You can catch me here every Sunday morning at 10:30 a.m. So, again, you guys enjoy the rest of your NFL Sunday. I hope you have a great start to your week. And we'll see you back here next Sunday at 10:30 a.m. I'm Kendrick the Sports Guy. We'll see you on the other side. And on the next report, I am out. Peace.